The hunger for Formula One among Ferrari fans has reached extreme levels this winter, and there are two reasons for this. The potential competitiveness of the Maranello team in the 2025 F1 Championship, after ending last year on a high note with a car almost on par with McLaren despite significant mid-season development difficulties, and the driver lineup set to hit the track. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton represent everything Ferrari needs to bring the World Championship, whether constructors or drivers, back to Maranello, two giants of qualifying, skilled in race management and on-track duels, who over the years have shown they can challenge the absolute benchmark, Max Verstappen. However, in the 2024 Formula One season, these giants showed cracks in terms of qualifying performance, particularly Lewis Hamilton, who struggled terribly against his Mercedes teammate George Russell, losing 5:19 on Saturdays. If 2025 delivers a close-fought Formula One season like the second half of last year, being competitive in qualifying will be crucial for everyone, and the SF25 will need to support both drivers. For Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, improvement is therefore needed from 2024, with car support, to be able to win consistently. Both drivers ended last season with their worst qualifying performances against their teammates in recent times. Charles Leclerc still managed to beat Carlos Sainz 14-9, but the average gap between them narrowed. The half-tenth advantage in favor of number 16 was the result of both a strong season from Carlos Sainz and a lackluster one from Charles Leclerc, as the Monegasque struggled particularly to get the SF24 single-seater into the right operating window, something he had always relied on in the past to build his reputation as the best qualifier on the grid in recent years. In 2024, Lewis Hamilton also had to deal with a car that was difficult for him to push to the limit, unlike his teammate. However, his 104 Formula One pole positions show that the seven-time Formula One world champion's performances can improve in 2025. In this regard, the SF25 will play a crucial role beyond its overall competitiveness, which will only become clear after the first race weekends. Better qualifying performance will be essential. Winter always brings surprises, but if teams follow a steady and trouble-free development path, the general expectation is to see McLaren and Ferrari fighting for top positions at the start of the 2025 Formula One Championship. If the gaps remain small, track position will be crucial on Sundays, and another season with the same 2024 difficulties would make life complicated for Ferrari's drivers. The final step the Scuderia needs to take is to be in the fight for the top positions in both qualifying and the race. Qualifying performance will also be crucial for the internal battle between Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, and it will be very interesting to see who will come out on top in their first year as Ferrari teammates. If we look back to 2023, the current Ferrari duo's qualifying season had a completely different aspect. Charles Leclerc defeated Carlos Sainz 15-6 with an advantage of more than 2/10, while Lewis Hamilton and George Russell tied 11-11, with a slight advantage for the current Mercedes driver in terms of pace. Both completed a 2024 Formula One season in which they demonstrated their talent over long distances. The seven-time Formula One world champion had a strong mid-season and managed to secure the last two wins for Mercedes, while many of the 66 points between Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz were earned with consistent performances on Sundays, rather than on pure lap time, as seen in 2022. Charles Leclerc's victories in the Italian Grand Prix at the Monza circuit and then in the United States Grand Prix at the Austin circuit confirmed his growth in race management and all its aspects, where Lewis Hamilton always had the edge over George Russell during their 3 years together. The impression is that in Ferrari, there will not be such a big difference in 2025 because they will be facing off head-to-head with two drivers who know how to be complete in both stages of the weekend. In this regard, it will be crucial for both to be ahead of their teammate on the grid. This will ensure clean air in case of extreme competitiveness, and the 2024 Formula One campaign showed how important this factor is with this generation of cars, but also proximity to rival drivers who may qualify ahead. Especially in the latter case, being the lead car will be crucial during attack phases and pit stops, because any change in positions would cost both drivers a significant amount of time. The question the track will answer is, will Charles Leclerc be the dominant figure in qualifying as seen in recent years, or will Lewis Hamilton reclaim the status that he held for so many years? Although the upcoming season will be the last one under the current technical regulations, Ferrari are expected to implement key changes on their 2025 car. Having elected to enter the upcoming season with a new driver lineup, Ferrari have already kicked off their preparation for 2025. While Charles Leclerc is set to embark on his 7th season with the Scuderia, he will be partnered by 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. The Maranello-based outfit staged a short on-track activity at its own test track in Fiorano on January 22 in a bid to give Hamilton the first opportunity of getting his first mileages under his belt. It was followed by a 3-day testing of previous cars running at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya with the 2-year-old SF25. The team completed another run this week, this time working with Pirelli on the Montmello circuit, as the Italian tire supplier tested its narrower 2026 F1 tires. In the meantime, Ferrari also confirmed that their 2025 F1 car will be called the SF25. It follows the naming convention that has been in place for the last 2 seasons, with Ferrari's 2023 and 2024 machines called the SF23 and SF24 respectively. With the 2026 Formula One season set to bring major changes to the power unit and the aerodynamics regulations, most of the teams are expected to carry over the design philosophy from last season into the 2025 campaign. Now let's also review some of the possible changes Ferrari might implement on their 2025 Formula One car that will be piloted by Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. As reported by several Italian media outlets, the Ferrari technicians and engineers will introduce some key changes to their 2025 F1 single-seater. Among the technical modifications are the tweak to the front wing and nose. The latter is expected to become a longer design, which is an area in which teams have not converged since the introduction of the current ground effect technical regulations. The most significant change could affect the suspension layout of the car. Although Red Bull has headed the design direction with a pull rod front suspension in recent years, Ferrari hang on to the more conventional pushrod layout in the previous 3 years, with the current generation cars producing a big portion of their downforces with the sophisticated Venturi channels beneath the floor. It is vital to direct as much air into that area. While the pull rod front suspension fell out of favor with the previous generation of vehicles, the potential aerodynamic advantages it offers for ground effect cars are now becoming increasingly clear. In general, pull rod setups suit ground effect cars for a lower center of gravity, while push rod setups offer convenience and cost-effectiveness. The Italian side is reported to be considering a switch from push rod suspension to pull rod next year after the problems it encountered with porpoising during the 2024 Formula One Championship. The change to a pull rod front suspension layout will possibly force the Ferrari engineers to introduce a reshaped side pod air inlet, and the cockpit is also believed to move backwards in comparison to last year's SF24, which is an area that Lewis Hamilton had previously asked for from Mercedes.